And of course, we definitely give thanks. We're thankful for the life giver and the keeper of life, and we are thankful for life itself. And I'm very happy that you have definitely taken the opportunity to join us even this evening. The Shock of the Hour. This is the program known as the Shock of the Hour. And this is the time that we take to look into many different aspects of life, whatever it may be, the different sciences, the different outlooks, philosophy, cosmology, many different things. And of course, as I mentioned, cosmology, let me clearly say, remember that, of course, the Cosmic Series is available for you. The Cosmic Series, we're talking about the 4-part series. And let me say, the third part of the Cosmic Series, we have made that available really for the public in general. So one can go on the internet, one can go on Facebook, YouTube, and you will see the Cosmic Series Part 3. That's the Orion Mystery, the Orion Prophecy. You could definitely go and bask in that. But of course, to get the full series now, I'm talking about Part 1, 2, 3, and 4, you have to contact us, priestisaac27@gmail.com, and you get, of course, the Cosmic Series. The Heavens Declare the Glory. Astronomy meets Theology. This is a 4-part video lecture. 4-part video lecture, so it is well equipped with PowerPoint presentation and all that have you. And I know some have already seen the Cosmic Series. I've been getting some rave reviews, as they would say, for the Cosmic Series. Of course, the first black hole, the original black woman, in a moment. Those who have not received that, you'll be getting that for sure. So get the Cosmic Series and see for yourself how the ancient people connected the movements of the firmaments with the concept of what people call God. And you will see therein lies the reality of such, and it will fortify you, especially if you're seeking for the truth. Many people say that they're seeking for the truth. It will fortify you. You know, it would strengthen you. You know, as I'm sure one of my ardent listeners, especially on YouTube, one Furious, was asking. I didn't get to comment or respond, but we were doing the Orion Prophecy right there on YouTube. You could go and watch it. Haile Selassie is the Orion constellation, and Furious was asking, what about the 13th? And I assumed Furious was asking about the 13th constellation within the zodiac belt. Well, again, Brother Furious or Sister Furious, whatever it may be, the whole Cosmic Series is what you need, and you'll get the answer for all the questions that you are asking. You know, one thing, let me say this before we go into our topic, because we're going to be talking about Venezuela. We're going to be talking exactly what is going on in Venezuela. We're going to be bringing it up to date, up to speed. But what I find interesting, do you know, a lot of questions, most of the questions, the vast majority of questions that people ask, we have covered in depth and in detail, and are right available on the same platform that people are asking the questions. So that is why we can easily refer you to and tell you to check out such video and check out such a video, and you will get the answers, even outside of the Cosmic Series. What about the documentary 7? Even outside of the Cosmic Series, there are other documentaries that we have done dealing with that 13th constellation in the zodiac belt. But I'm not going to send you too far, Furious. Go and get the full series, the full series of the Cosmic Series, the full package, I should say. 4 episodes, 4 video lecture, PowerPoint presentation, the Cosmic Series. The Heavens Declare the Glory. The firmament show it, the handiworks of the Most High. And again, of course, all you have to do is to email us. I am talking about priestisaac27@gmail.com. All right, going into Venezuela. While I'm looking for this clip here, let me just remind you, of course, the 21st day of June. Now remember, the 21st day of June is what they call the summer solstice. The 21st, pardon me, day of June is the summer solstice. What are you doing for the summer solstice? You got to keep in mind that every solstice and every equinox, we have a special hike to Greencastle Hill, right here in Antigua, right here in Anu. We're talking about going amongst the megaliths. For those of you who know not what we are talking about, all you have to do is visit our archives on the YouTube and visit the documentary Greencastle Hill. In fact, if you think that is too hard to find, I would send you a copy if you desire. If you email me, I would just send you a copy of the documentary we did on Greencastle Hill, and I'll give you some info. In fact, you should get the book Anu. I think we advertise Anu almost every time we put a video on the internet. So for those who made it their business not to get Anu, that's how I look at it. Eh? You made it your business not to get Anu. There's no wonder why you have no idea what Greencastle Hill is all about. So if you definitely order the book Anu Ancient and Modern Revisited, it is an ebook, only $20 for the book. And you order the book by contacting us through the email priestisaac27@gmail.com, and we go into depths as it relates to Mount Anu, Greencastle Hill, the megaliths that align with the movements of the heavens. And just like Stonehenge on the equinoxes and on the solstices, there are spiritual alignments as it relates to the sun and the boulders, the countless of megaliths, the countless of boulders that we have here on Greencastle Hill in Antigua. So of course, from the 21st day and the 23rd day, we'll be doing a morning hike and of course the evening hike as it surrounds the solstice, when the sun is in its most northern part of the heavens. And here lies again the cosmic series, because this is the cosmics coming to life. So the sun, of course, being in its most northern position in the zodiac belt, in the ecliptic belt, that is the time when it's related to the constellation of Gemini, and this is the time of summer in the northern hemisphere, and there will be specific alignments with basically all the megalithic sites on the planet and certain key sites and ley lines and grid lines. There's this alignment with the sun on that very day and other days. But for you to experience that alignment, Greencastle Hill is one of the best places to be on the 21st day of June, and even returning on the 23rd day of June, sunrise and sunset, get the full vibration. What a wonderful time it will be. So all you have to do to get the itinerary and to get the layout of exactly what you have to do, because as you know, we invite everyone wherever you may be, especially those in the Caribbean, man. You're just next door. Well, not especially you. We invite everybody, wherever you may be. If you're in Belize, if you're in Brazil, if you're in Trinidad, if you're in New York, if you're in wherever you may be, Germany, the Netherlands, Bosnia-Herzegovina, wherever you may be, I'm advising you now to go online and check for your tickets, or wherever you go and check for your ticket and tell your travel agent that, hey, I want to go down to Antigua for 5 days, or it could be 7 days, and to full joy the Greencastle Hill. We're going up to Greencastle Hill on the 21st. Definitely. So by the 19th, you should be here. By the 19th of June, you should be here. By the 24th, 25th of June, you could be out of here. So you should go and, check the flights now. Don't wait until June. Check the flights now. Don't wait until it's too late. Go and check the flights, book your flights, pay for your ticket. Contact me. Of course, everything will be put in order. Of course, first of all, you should also have an idea of the itinerary and exactly what everything is going to cost you. This is not something we could just give you a broad price here, because obviously you'll be coming from a distance, and depending on the time that you will spend with us as well. And we have a package that you may see things that you say, well, I can do without that, whatever it may be, because we will be feeding you, we will be accommodating you, and transportation, and so many different things to make sure you full joy the time that you spend with us when you come here in Antigua to bask in the mystics of Greencastle Hill, along with the other tour hikes and everything else that we have to offer, the beach and all of that. So much here to offer, the fresh atmosphere, the tropics, and I know you may not be coming out of the cold, but I'm sure wherever you may be, because it's not about the cold, When you go to Europe, even in the summer, I mean, the kind of heat wave that you have in Europe during the summer, we ain't got them kind of heat wave down here, if you want to say down here. And the thing is now, we're in the tropics. We're in the tropics, brother. And we don't have that kind of heat wave. And for sure, we don't have no kind of blizzard. So, I mean, the weather is just basically stable all year round. The sunshine is always there. This is something you definitely would like to come and partake of. So all you have to do is email me, priestisaac27@gmail.com. Experience the Stonehenge of the Caribbean. Go and get a friend. I'm sure it's going to be an experience that you will never forget. You just got to take it from me. You will never forget the experience. Okay, definitely the shock of the hour. And of course, all day yesterday you were hearing them talking about this coup that was taking place in Venezuela, and they're looking to take over the coup. Well, I want to bring to you just an excerpt from the program today's program, which is the 1st of May, the program directly from Democracy Now, democracynow.org, directly dealing with the situation there in Venezuela, directly dealing with the coup in Venezuela, the attempted coup. And of course, you know that the regular media tries to put a spin on everything that is going on and try to make it look, let's just say, in their favor. But when you really understand the depths of it, it is not so at all. So this one is coming again from Democracy Now, which you can also check on democracynow.org more times than so they have, let's say, balanced news. Check this out.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is claiming to have defeated a coup attempt launched by opposition leader Juan Guaido, the president of the Venezuelan National Assembly. On Tuesday morning, Guaido appeared in an online video standing among heavily armed soldiers calling for the military to back what he called the final phase of an effort to topple Maduro's government. Guaido appeared alongside Leopoldo Lopez, a longtime opposition leader who was reportedly released from house arrest by renegade officers. Guaido has been attempting to topple the Venezuelan government since January, when he declared himself to be Venezuela's interim president. The Trump administration, as well as Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro and others, openly supported the coup attempt. Earlier today, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo told Fox Business military action in Venezuela is possible, quote, if that's what's required. On Tuesday, clashes broke out in the streets of Caracas and other cities. There are reports that one person has died and 100 people were injured. On Tuesday night, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro gave a televised address and denied claims by U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo that he had prepared to flee Venezuela.
Decía Mike Pompeo en la tarde que yo, decía Maduro.
Mike Pompeo said in the afternoon that Maduro had a plane to flee to Cuba and that the Russians got him off the plane and forbade him from leaving the country. Mr. Pompeo, what a lack of sincerity. Mr. Bolton also gave orders to military and civilian personnel in Venezuela to join the coup. The skirmish in Venezuela has been defeated, and Mr. Trump set off 1,000 expletives and lies. My God, how far are the men of the United States government willing to go?
Maduro and Guaido have both called on supporters to take to the streets today. At the United Nations, Venezuela's UN ambassador Samuel Mancada accused the United States and other nations of backing the coup attempt.
Esto es un hecho que no es un hecho local, doméstico.
This was not a domestic event growing from within. No, this came from abroad. Without the power of the United States, the CIA, with the intelligence apparatus, without the money from the United States, without the economic war, without the government of President Duque in Colombia, this would have been impossible.
No, I don't want us to miss this, you know. I don't want us to have this. This is the shock of the hour, eh? This ain't news hour. So don't get comfortable as if you're sipping coffee and listening to the news. This is Samuel Moncada, that's his name. They're speaking, the Venezuelan UN ambassador. And he's laying down some points that, you know, any of us who follows these world events, especially these takeovers and uprisings and attempted takeovers, we understand or comprehend what is really happening behind the scenes. I know I could give you a heap of examples. For example, what is going on in Venezuela? One of the cry you hear from a lot of people is, oh, we don't want to have a next Libya. Oh, we don't want to have a next Iraq. And for those who may be too young or just can't remember, these are places that were taken over by the US government and up to this very day cannot catch themselves. Cannot catch themselves. Not only were they left worse off, they are in a horrible state. And the rest of us, see, that's why I behave how I behave sometimes, because we are just some weak, sitting ducks, sickening too. Yeah, it's really sick. I mean, come on, listen. Not what kind of world is this? What kind of people are we? We sit back in the comfort of our living rooms. Those of us, you know, who have things going for us.Maybe some of us have an education and we're in the middle class, and you know, we live in the free world, and even though we're on minimum wage, and you know, at least we have electricity, and you know, we have a color TV. My father didn't have a color TV. Our grandparents, they didn't have no electricity, and all of them kind of talk. That's how we talk, eh? That's how we talk. So we comfortable, we okay. You know, we ain't getting into nothing. You know, we just cool. Some of us even go as far as to say, why is it our government backing Maduro? Don't they know if the great United States comes down on them, we will all starve here in these little islands? You want to hear them around here talking for the few governments. That's why some of the governments, even in the Caribbean, bow. That's why some of the prime ministers bow and went and sat with the United States president and turned their back on the Venezuelan people who have been supporting them for a while. You understand? And a lot of people, of course, you know, in politics and when business and politics and you know, mix, and you have grants and assistance, people will always find ways and means to bring out the underhanded deals that may have taken place. So people will always say, well, listen, man, Venezuela has their own agenda, you know. No matter what they're giving to you all, they have their own agenda. Who on the planet ain't got an agenda? You ain't got an agenda? If you ain't got an agenda, you need to go and look at an agenda, you know. But when you really sit, whatever agenda Chavez may have had, whatever agenda Maduro may have had, I mean, from an intelligent perspective, their agenda cannot be as hideous as the agenda of Mike Pompeo. What's the name of the other? Not Trump, man. John Bolton. What's their agenda? This is what I'm talking about. You see. So when they removed Saddam Hussein, I'm sure Saddam had his agenda too. In fact, that's what they were telling us. But his agenda could not compare to the agenda that has been placed upon Iraq up to this very day. Gaddafi had an agenda. He was showing you his agenda. And now the state of Libya is pure anarchy and just being upside down. Whose agenda is that? And you can speak of other places as well, that these people just come in, step in, ruin, destroy, because a leader decides to use their resources for the people. So all of us now, we act as if we don't even know Venezuela has oil. No, we don't know nothing about that. And what is sickening now, when you hear Bolton talk, I mean, the pathetic level of their speech, that is what hits me at times, you know, how pathetic they sound. As if, well, you know, they just speak as if, you know, it's just the right good old mom's apple pie American thing to do. He's a dictator. Whoever they're talking about, he's a dictator. He's a person that, you know, he beats his dog. You know, he's a man that sends his child out to pick up the newspaper in the rain without water boots. We need to overthrow him for the freedom of the world. And idiots stand and clap for that.
To the streets today at the United Nations, Venezuela's UN ambassador Samuel Mancada accused the United States and other nations of backing the coup attempt.
Now listen to what the ambassador is saying here.
Esto es un hecho que no es un hecho local, doméstico.
This was not a domestic event.
This is not a domestic event. This is not no internal affair. Somebody from the outside is pushing this.
Growing from within. No, this came from abroad. Without the power of the United States, the CIA, with the intelligence apparatus, without the money from the United States, without the economic war, without the government of President Duque in Colombia.
No, hear all of that. The list too long, man. Without the interference of the American government, without the economic support, without the intelligence, CIA, without all of these different things, nothing would have happened. Even the assistance of the president of Colombia.
Event growing from within. No, this came from abroad. Without the power of the United States, the CIA, with the intelligence apparatus, without the money from the United States, without the economic war, without the government of President Duque in Colombia, this would have been impossible. Without the help of the government of Chile, which gives protection to the leader of the coup, without the help of the Brazilian president, Mr. Bolsonaro, who gives help to the soldiers, this is an international conspiracy.
In Washington, National Security Advisor John Bolton repeated the Trump administration's position on Venezuela, saying all options are on the table. He also insisted Tuesday's events were not a coup.
No, this is what I'm talking about. I just want you to hear the language coming from John Bolton. Just listen. Listen to the language. How pathetic it sounds like. I mean, wow, how people can speak like this and we just listen to it and some of us agree.
We want as our principal objective the peaceful transfer of power, but I will say again, as the president has said from the outset, and that Nicolas Maduro and those supporting him, particularly those who are not Venezuelan, should know is all options are on the table. This is clearly not a coup. We recognize Juan Guaido as the legitimate interim president of Venezuela. And just as it's not a coup when the President of the United States gives an order to the Department of Defense, it's not a coup for Juan Guaido to try and take command of the Venezuelan military.
To talk more about the situation, we're joined by two guests. Miguel Tinker Salas is a Venezuelan.
Hold on. Before Miguel Tinker Salas comes in, let's just be clear here. This is not a coup. You're right, it's not a coup. It was an attempted coup, but it failed yesterday. And he's talking about, you can compare this to the president giving an order to the army or the armed forces. So it's not a coup, and we want a smooth transition of government. Just like that, we want. Who is you? What do you mean we want? There was an election in May, about 9 million people voted. And 6 million voted for the president, Maduro. and the other fella there that's trying to take the power now, Guaido. I don't know how much percentage he really got amongst the 3 million that was left. You know, he was almost an unknown, you know, until he was trumped up the other day. This is real-time news, you know, man. This ain't no old time. This is today. Today we talking about.
Historian, professor at Pomona College in California, author of The Enduring Legacy, Oil Culture
We want a smooth transition of power. Who is you?
and Society in Venezuela, and Venezuela, what everyone needs to know. He's joining us from Claremont, California. And here in New York, Jeffrey Sachs, leading economist and director of the Center for Sustainable Development at Columbia University, is with us. He recently co-authored a report for the Center for Economic and Policy Research on the deadly impact of the U.S. sanctions on Venezuela. The center's estimating more than 40,000 Venezuelans have died since 2017 as a result of the sanctions. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Professor
Wow, 40,000 Venezuelans have died as a result of the sanction. That's almost half the population of this island.
Miguel Tinker-Salas, let's begin with you. What do you understand is happening on the ground right now in Venezuela? What has taken place and the significance of Juan Guaido standing together with Leopoldo Lopez?
What took place yesterday was an intended coup. The problem is if you're going to stage a coup, you normally would have the generals and the admirals standing at your side. So obviously that didn't happen. So it was an attempt on the part of Guaido and Lopez and his faction within the right-wing opposition to try to create greater divisions within the military. It was obviously that he did not have that support. What had happened was they had a handful of lower-ranking officers from the National Guard. They had one general from the Military Intelligence Service, but they did not have the core within the Army or the Navy or the Air Force. They tried to leverage that. It failed. It failed miserably. And here we are once again with a crisis scenario in Venezuela. But again, there's two audiences here. One is an audience internal to Venezuela to assure Guaido's support and consolidate his support within the opposition, which was beginning to seem shaky. And the other is the audience internationally, appealing to Donald Trump, appealing to Pompeo, appealing to Ivan Duque, appealing to Bolsonaro. So there's two audiences that Guaido was directed at yesterday. The internal one failed. And today we have protests on both sides for March 1st, which again could repeat a cycle of violence. But the expectation is that they will be separate marches and hopefully peaceful marches.
I want to turn to Mike Pompeo. This is in an interview with CNN's Wolf Blitzer on Tuesday. Secretary of State Pompeo was asked what the U.S. would do if Maduro arrests Guaido, and also asked about Russia's role in keeping Maduro in the country.
I'm not going to get into specifics, but we've made very clear we would consider that a major escalation. Wolf, we've watched throughout the day. It's been a long time since anyone has seen Maduro. He had an airplane on the tarmac. He was ready to leave this morning, as we understand it, and the Russians indicated he should stay. We've made clear all along, Wolf, that Maduro is surrounded by Cubans and has been supported by Russians there in Venezuela. And we've told the Russians and we've told the Cubans that's unacceptable.
So that's Mike Pompeo, Miguel Tinker-Salas, saying that Maduro was ready to leave with a plane on the tarmac to fly to Cuba, but got a call from Russia, and so he stayed. Is this fake news?
It's a false flag operation. Why would Maduro want to leave the country when, by all accounts, the so-called coup had already failed? But yes, there is a side note to that, and that is that Guaido has tried to provoke Maduro, trying to provoke a crisis, because under these conditions, anyone leading a coup committed an illegal act. So what Guaido would like is Maduro to arrest him, to provoke a crisis, to escalate the scenario, and therefore create the context in which the U.S. can operate either through through direct action, through a naval blockade, or through action by the part of Colombia or Brazil. So as I said earlier, this is an effort to provoke this crisis, to try to escalate it, because we've already had 3 separate incidents previously. Guaido claimed he would be president on January 23rd.
Yeah.
He wasn't. It failed. He claimed that on February 23rd, from the border in Cucuta, he would re-enter the country, assume the presidency. It failed. So once again, we have Guaido claiming that he will assume the presidency. This time, it appears to have failed as well. And in fact, there are criticisms within the opposition to his all-or-nothing strategy. And there has to be a reflective period for the opposition to think of what they've done and to really consider the option, once again, of negotiations, rather than this idea that through military action they're going to come to power.
Enough people leaving Venezuela going into Trinidad, you know.
Can you talk about where in Caracas this coup attempt took place and who exactly? Go ahead.
The coup took place in the center of Caracas, what's called Eastern Caracas, in the Altamira corridor, the Altamira district, which has been historically the center of the opposition's base in Chacao, in Altamira, in Palos Grandes, and they attempted to move down towards La Carlota, the air base that resides in the middle of Caracas. Some of the military personnel that were present said they were tricked. They were told to show up to receive a medal, to receive a decoration, and they were brought to Guaido's side, again, by a certain number of captains and colonels.
Okay, hold on. I don't want to lose this now. I really don't. Let's get this good. What this brother is saying here, which is something a lot of people are overlooking. Because even here in the Caribbean, in the islands now, and of course from wider field, from the BBCs and all these big news agencies, you're hearing that Mr. Juan Guaido has a faction of the army on his side. This is all you're hearing around here. Do you know, listening to the news, even the local news here, they're referring to Maduro as, they're not calling him president. It's like the supposed president, or the accepted, some sort of term they're adding to his presidency now. As if, you know what I mean, it's, well, you know, some people think he's the president and some people, what is some people think you're talking about? Anywhere you go in the world, man, when they elect the prime ministers around here, the people that lose, I mean, of course, some of them that really feel bad, they're going to tell you, he's not my prime minister. Look at so many people that do not refer to Donald Trump as the president. But Donald Trump is, whether you like it or not, Donald Trump is the president of the United States of America. You understand? So Maduro, for us, if you read the news, the man is the president, not the, you know what I mean, the supposed president, or he's seen as president by this and that. Who's seen as who by what and what? He's the president. But now, when the great big dog America back now, and you know, well, you know, we want a smooth transition, you know, and this and that, and he has all right to call for the army. So as this individual that is speaking here is clearly showing you, first of all, the army that he had on his side is not no great army. It's not no big amount of nobody. They definitely don't have the standing generals. They have a few, you know what I mean, a few individuals, I don't know what, captains, whatever the right terminology is, but they do not have the real bucketive of the true generals in the army. Now listen to this. He's even suggesting that the army personnel that were with Guaido, that you saw on camera, some of them were somewhat, what was the word, coerced into being there?
The coup took place in the center of Caracas, what's called Eastern Caracas, in the Altamira corridor, the Altamira district, which has been historically the center of the opposition's base in Chacao, in Altamira, in Palos Grandes, and they attempted to move down towards La Carlota, the air base that resides in the middle of Caracas. Some of the military personnel that were present said they were tricked. They were told to show up to receive a medal, to receive a decoration.
they were tricked. What is this?
Down towards.
I didn't hear that on CNN. I must have missed that on Fox. Did you hear that on CBS? Maybe MSNBC reported it. Give me
In
a...
Chacao, in Altamira, in Palos Grandes, and they attempted to move down towards La Carlota, the air base that resides in the middle of Caracas. Some of the military personnel that were present said they were tricked. They were told to show up to receive a medal, to receive a decoration, and they were brought to Guaido's side, again, by a certain number of captains and colonels of the National Guard. That's important because they don't represent the core of the military.
That's important because they do not represent the core of the military. Listen, them people just feed you with lies, no man. With a little pathetic talk.
Some of the military personnel that were present said they were tricked. They were told to show up to receive a medal, to receive a decoration, and they were brought to Guaido's side, again, by a certain number of captains and colonels of the
You hear that?
National Guard. That's important because they don't represent the core of the military. There were several lieutenants and several colonels present from intelligence, from the National Guard, but again, not the general staff of the military, not those individuals that command bases, not those individuals that command regiments or battalions, and that was the most important thing. But again, what we saw was a repeat of series of actions that have been led by Guaido and his opposition, trying to topple the government, which for the moment have seemed to fail again, and basically in the core area of support, which is the east part of Caracas.
We're going to break and then come back.
Okay, we ain't gonna break nowhere here, but in fact, we're gonna keep the democracy. Yes, I have you, sister. We're gonna keep the Democracy Now platform. In fact, we're gonna keep an eye on what is taking place in Venezuela itself, but I think taken from the same broadcast here, of course, you know, there is a Venezuelan embassy, in the United States, in Washington, D.C. So, and you know, there have been protesting outside of the Venezuelan, I'm telling you, embassy. So what we have here, it's an interview that was done with some of the activists that are actually occupying the embassy of Venezuela there in the U.S. You turn it around and say the embassy of Venezuela. I didn't put it the other way. Maybe I'll be still tongue-tied. So anyway, let's check this out. Some very important information coming out here now, you know. Because you see, as I said, in reality, you know, you have to, not that we're just promoting somebody's news media or whatever the case is, you know, but because me personally, I don't have no problem in promoting anybody. Come on, you get much more sensible news from this than from the others. So why wouldn't I want you to, if you've never really taken the time to listen to democracynow.org, they bring out their news daily. At about 9 o'clock, you get your headlines. If you just go online, it's right there, and they have a lot of programs in their archives, and they do have their own agenda too. Trust me, I see they have their own agenda, because one thing, they're very spongy when it comes to the LGBT and them kind of thing. But that's their world, I mean, yeah. But the thing is, you know, them kind of people there, you know what I mean, they're just for the freedom of the world and let everybody be happy and human rights and rah, rah, rah. But in the midst of all of that pink mush, what it is now, for example, like this, they because of their outlook, they tend to stand up against tyranny. They tend to stand up against certain levels of oppression, you know what I mean, and vaccination and all of these different things. So what that does now, you tend to get a more balanced outlook of the news from them, because they're not on the hiding of this and the hiding of that agenda, you know. So let us listen to the interview.
Here we are outside the Venezuelan embassy. Tell us who you are, who you're with, and why you're
Take
here.
it away, Amy.
I'm Ariel Gold, and I'm the National Co-Director for Code Pink. Code Pink has been here. We're going on week 3 since April 14th, and we've been here in order to protect this embassy from takeover by Guaido, who is Trump's puppet, and Trump has been trying Trump and Elliot Abrams, to orchestrate a coup in Venezuela, and taking over this building
How
is
has
part
the
of that.
U.S. been involved with the takeover of this building? I mean, this was the embassy. It's the embassy of the government of Venezuela. The president elected is Maduro. So what's happened here? Where are Maduro's people? Where is the government?
Well, the State Department has ordered all of the Venezuelan diplomats to leave the embassy, and they did in fact leave the embassy, but the Venezuelan government gave us permission, and we call ourselves the Embassy Protection Collective. They gave us permission to be inside this building 24/7.
Can you tell us who you are and why you're here today?
My name is Kevin Zeese. I'm with Popular Resistance. I'm part of the Embassy Protection Collective. We're here today because this embassy is under attack. The Secret Service has been coming around, taking pictures. I've been in contact with the State Department. They tell us they are going to at some point remove us. I ask them what they're going to charge us with, and I say we're here legally. We're not trespassing. The Venezuelan government, the elected government, allows us to be here. They gave us a key to come in. So we're lawfully here. The strange thing is, if the Trump administration comes in, they'll be the lawbreakers. The Vienna Convention says this is inviolate. They can't violate this embassy. They can't trespass. They can't unlawfully enter. They can't give this to the opposition. That's not their role. Their job under the Vienna Convention is to protect this embassy, not to violate it. So we're here doing the job that the Trump administration should be doing.
But John Bolton clearly said, this ain't no misunderstanding, you know. We are looking for a peaceful transfer of government. And that's another thing. He said that Guaido is the president, so what transfer of government they're talking about? As far as I see, the way that they're speaking, the government has already been transferred.
And you're staying here day and night?
We're staying here day and night. We're living here. We consider ourselves residents. We are tenants.
We're making 3 meals a day, feeding up to 100 people, because we have events every single evening, either educational or cultural, about all kinds of issues, and then we feed people.
Can you take us inside the embassy? We're walking to the back of the Venezuelan embassy. Dangling from Ariel Gold of Code Pink's backpack, it says, Guaido, not welcome here. We're going inside.
Here's the key to the building.
Okay.
That we have under permission from the Venezuelan government.
Can you tell us what this is a baseball jersey? Maggio Ordonez is here. Kevin, you want to explain?
Alex Gonzalez. They're very, both Maduro and Chavez were baseball players. Baseball is a sport that's very popular in Venezuela.
So where are we going?
Second floor. And we do, people live on the second, third, and fourth floors. We have our working area on the second floor.
I'm Lily, I'm with Code Pink. And so basically in this room, we all kind of gather here. We have our community meetings here where we discuss the plans for the next day. We have all of our meals here. And right here we have our schedule of what we host events every night here. So cultural events, educational events. And so this is kind of our calendar of what we have planned out for the week.
If you can tell me your name and what group you're with.
No, before
Yeah, my name is Kay Pritzker.
Hold on, Kay Pritzker, whatever. Now, basically what you see in there, you know, an accident waiting to happen. Well, it ain't gonna be no accident. I mean, the man just clearly said that the State Department already contacted them and tell them, you got to move or we will move you. Can't tell you exactly when, but it's gonna happen. And he replied by saying, man, we are legally here. The government of Venezuela gave us the key and told us that we could stay there. But, I mean, I guess he don't understand, and I believe he does, but I'm just being, a bit sarcastic, that, which government? Guaido is the government. You didn't listen to what Pompeo was saying? Didn't you hear what Bolton was saying? Maduro is not the government. What are you talking about? And he's saying now he believes that if the U.S. government comes and takes them out, they will be trespassing. They will be the one doing the illegal action. So where is justice really in this world? Every time I see these things happen, I say, where is justice? When you've been violated, who do you really go to in this world?
I'm with the Answer Coalition. So I'm here first and foremost as a U.S. citizen, and a U.S. citizen that sees a lot of problems in his country. Right now, there are 40 million people in the United States that are living in poverty. There are entire cities that don't have clean drinking water. And right here in Washington, D.C., we see luxury condos going up every single day. And outside these condos, outside these empty condos, are homeless people sleeping in the cold. And amidst all these problems, Donald Trump has declared a war on Venezuela. Now, Venezuela has not invaded the United States. Venezuela did not foreclose on millions of homes during the 2008 financial crisis. It's not Venezuela causing the problems here in the United States. So we have to ask ourselves why Donald Trump is siding with rich white Venezuelans halfway across the world over poor black and brown people right here in Washington, D.C.
Ariel Gold.
We here in the U.S. have a lot of nerve talking about we have to go in and help the people of Venezuela. If the U.S. were concerned with helping people, why would we be partnering with the terror government of Saudi Arabia and creating the worst humanitarian crisis on the planet? So we don't
in Yemen.
In Yemen. So we don't have to look any further than that to know what U.S. motivations are, to know that this is about Venezuelan oil and this is about the 2020 election and how Trump is trying to frame himself against Bernie Sanders as opposing socialism, which to prevent humanitarian crisis, when it's actually the U.S. that is creating humanitarian crisis, creating death in Venezuela, death in Yemen, and U.S. sanctions, unilateral sanctions on Venezuela are deadly.
Kevin Cease.
I was in Venezuela last May for the re-election of President Maduro. There was actually an election. He was not a dictator. 9 million people voted. Maduro received 6 million votes. There were more than 150 international election observers, and they unanimously came out and said that it met international standards for democracy, there was no fraud, and Maduro was legitimately elected. And comparing that to Guaido, Guaido won second place in the National Assembly election, 24% of the vote in the second smallest state with a tiny political party. He got in because the top two get in. And so
He got in because
the top two winners, the top two in the race, get into the legislature. So he got in, barely got into the legislature from a tiny state with a tiny party, and then he was elevated by Trump and Pence to be the president. He was unknown by most. Well, the night before, well, it was a process actually that began in January at the OAS. They had multiple meetings to try to resolve this. Leopoldo Lopez was on from video conference. They've been working on this for that long. Then finally they decided on Guaido as their guy. And the night before that, Guaido self-appointed, Michael Pence called him and said, "We're behind you if you do it."
Wow.
As soon as Guaido announced, Trump immediately endorsed him, got the right-wing governments in Latin America and the Western European countries to join him.
You hear that?
Why? Because the example of an independent.
And even before he go on, so he's saying it was almost a choice between Guaido and the fella that they just break out of jail. And even if you watch the video, you see the fella that they just break out of jail, Lopez, whatever his name, and the other opposition leader. I mean, you could almost see in his eyes that, yeah, man, I could take over this too.
Venezuela is a powerful example that they don't want to see.
Sleeping in here at night.
we're on the first floor of the Venezuelan embassy. Aminta Saya, can you talk about what you're using this space for and describe it to us?
Yeah, sure thing. So here is mainly where we have a lot of our cultural and educational events. We'll have different speakers come out basically every night in order to kind of create more awareness over what is happening in Venezuela as a whole.
Kevin, describe this banner on the back of the first floor room of the embassy.
This is President Chavez speaking to the UN. You can see the UN insignia about the global South and anti-imperialism. This is the famous speech where he said you could still smell the sulfur after George W. Bush had left. And we expect that the opposition will be painting this over.
Why are you, as a member of Code Pink, Ariel?
Well, you already said that. He said we would suspect that the opposition will be painting this over. So obviously, well, that is in the United States. So if they say they're coming for the building, you know, the State Department say they're coming for the building, more than likely they'll be coming for the building. So I guess he's just being realistic, and he guess the opposition will be painting it over. But that can't be the opposition. It's the embassy for the government, is it? Let us just watch this and see how this one plays out. Because let me show you why I'm saying this. Because it's obvious that the United States of America, the government and the people, well, the government for sure, and that's another thing too, you know. I wonder how people look at this thing. I wonder how people look at this thing, man. Because most of us, we support our governments, you know. Trust me. That's why that's why we just go along with the flow. That's why we go along with the flow. And let me be clear here, some of us that bonfire on this government and that government, when the judgment come down on that government, some of us gonna get some of that heat as well. Because we encourage it, we uphold it, we vote for it, we campaign for it, and those who may say, I never vote for them, me, I not with them, but yet still you're comfortable in the system that they have created. You do not protest against it, you don't rebel against it, you just go along with whatever they say you got to do, and you don't expect when the judgment come down on them, you're not gonna get it too. That's why I said some of us. Now trust me, man, I just like Bob Marley would say, man, the Babylon system is the vampire. You know that song there? You need to listen to the song. That song have some kind of lyrics in it. We refuse to be what they want us to be. We are what we are. And that's the way it's going to be. Babylon system is the vampire. Graduating thieves and murderers. So I'm just showing you. So when you're in that system there, you are in the system, maybe not by your own choice. But how much are you considering getting out of the system? Within the system, how much do you change your environment to make sure you're not even contributing to that same system? Now I'm very serious. Well, you know, I gotta work, we need a job. I mean, them things ain't no excuse. In the liberation of your people, you got to really overlook certain things. This is why I always like to say it's not the situation, it is the principle. Meaning that you yourself, okay, for example, let me show you what I mean. When you pay taxes, you are giving the same government that you feel is Satan in flesh power to continue to build. When you pay taxes, all them bills you're paying, you know, you are encouraging the same wicked government that you think is Lucifer's party, the power to continue to live and strive. That's what you and all of us are doing when we pay them. Now, you may say, well, what are you trying to say, brother? We're not supposed to pay any tax or taxes. Well, they have some rebels that don't pay tax, you know. Trust me, I ain't gonna call no name right now, but they have some rebels in history. Some of them, we talk about them all the time that don't pay bills. They ain't paying no bills. I pay taxes. I pay taxes, brother. I mean, I'm a businessman, you know. So I have businesses. So, and I am not a person that go around taxes. So I pay my taxes. You know, I just make up my mind to make more money. And the money that is made that I can keep after I give the government what they are looking for, that should be sufficient. Not sufficient. That should be enough. Well, any which one of the words you want to use. But that should be sufficient or enough then to assist in the liberation of me, my family, and my people. And if I'm not thinking so, well, then I'm in problem. So even though you're paying taxes, you're giving them back what they want, but you know, in fact, the more money you make is the more money they're gonna make. The more money you make in your business is the more taxes they're gonna get. All right. But yet still you're making enough that you can utilize to assist this onward march for redemption of you, your family, and your people in general. At least if you're thinking like that, I'm sure the mercy of Farai will be upon you when the hail and the fire start to drop on the same city that you pay taxes in. But if you're just paying taxes and you're okay and you don't care and you're just milking the beast, well, you will be literally charged for upkeeping the same corruption that you say plaguing the world. So if you live in the US and you feel that Trump is this demon and the US government is this and that, and from George Washington up to Mike Pence is Satan's army, but yet still you comfortably pay your taxes and keep feeding the beast and have no mindset whatsoever to the redemption of your people. So where you think you're going to stand in the judgment? Protesting is not enough, you know. And talking is not enough. I'm talking about paying taxes. You ain't paying no taxes unless you're making money. So you're supposed to be crafty enough to use the money you're making and not just enough to get along. Double up, triple up, quadruple up, and 10 times and 20 times up the finance you're making, and then look at the liberation of your people. To me, that's the reality of it, man. And if we think in any other way, well, we're in problems. And that's just my specific outlook. Yeah. Yeah, so all those who have not subscribed to the Shock of the Hour radio program, if you're not a subscriber to the Shock of the Hour, you know exactly what to do. You email us, priestisaac27@gmail.com, and we give you all the details. I'm sure you have some idea, but we'll give you all the details for such, you know. But of course, that is what's taking place in the earth. That's why we always say take some real eyes, man, to realize the real eyes that are amongst us. And of course, if you know your Bible and you do not know your history, the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. Give thanks. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. Blessed. On the northeastern corner of the Caribbean island chain sits the gem of the West Indies, Santa Maria de la Antigua. Antigua, renowned for its sun, sea, and sand. It has also become famously known as the Stonehenge of the Caribbean. Situated between the villages of Jennings, Ebenezer, and Bendel's stands Greencastle Hill, 596 feet of volcanic rocks and lemongrass. These volcanic rocks, which are too numerous to tally, naturally protrude out of the hill and are arranged to correspond to the astronomical clock, the solstices, the equinoxes, and the movements of the stars. This has been confirmed by Dr. Maura Imbert, an astroarchaeologist who conducted a study of several keystones on Greencastle Hill. I have visited Stonehenge in England and have seen for myself the methods utilized by the government and people of that nation to incorporate Stonehenge as a part of its economical development through tourism. Infrastructure has been built around the monument, parking lot, museum, and even a restaurant. And of course, thousands flock to the site during the solstices and equinoxes, and millions visit each year. If preserved, developed, and marketed properly, Greencastle Hill, the Stonehenge of the Caribbean, could attract millions as well, in numbers of persons as well as in dollars and pounds. It will provide employment as well as career opportunities for Antiguans, and it would add to the value and appreciation of Antigua internationally. Greencastle Hill has been used for decades as a site for the creation of aggregates and building materials. As it is already a national park,
we as a nation should seriously consider Greencastle Hill and preserve it and utilize it, for it is our national treasure and a sacred hill. The nations and nature will applaud us for such actions. I thank you.
Subscribe to the Mystic Vibrations Shock of the Hour program today and never miss another episode. The Shock of the Hour is a Radio Anu exclusive program produced every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. By now, I am sure that you are aware that all our programs are packed with information, inspiration, mystic vibrations, as well as hot button topics. Every evening we enter into a different dimension, even if it is a part 2 of the previous program, whether it's history or mystery, biology or philosophy, domestic affairs or the locks of your hair. The mystic vibration is sure to bring something new and interesting to the table every evening. So never miss another episode again. Subscribe to the Shock of the Hour now. And don't forget your key Swahili word of the day and your daily scientific fact. So, to subscribe, give us an email, priestisaac27@gmail.com, or call or WhatsApp us today. Area code 1268-728-3162. The Shock of the Hour. Never miss another program. And a special note to all our new subscribers. All our new subscribers will receive a special copy of the DVD documentary, full length, The Night of the Black Tiger, The Divinity of Marcus Messiah. Alafia to each and every one. Salamta and blessed love. Honorable Priest Isaac here. It is with great joy that I am happy to announce to you that I have officially released my first ebook, Anu Ancient and Modern Revisited. This is the continuation process of our easy-to-read books. Within the pages of Anu Ancient and Modern Revisited, we take the time to show you the spiritual connection with the island of Antigua and Heliopolis in Kemet in Egypt, with the island of Antigua and the legendary continent of Atlantis. We also highlight Greencastle Hill, also known as Mount Anu, which is known as the Stonehenge of the Caribbean, with the countless of megaliths that align with the movements of the heavens. This is a must-read for all those who are students of the esoteric realms, astronomy, geology, and ancient sites. Of course, to get a copy of your book, all you have to do is to contact us at area code 1268-728-3162. Call, text, or even WhatsApp. Or you can email us at priestisaac27@gmail.com to get a copy of your ebook, Anu Ancient and Modern. It is an easy to read book, may appear light, but it is extremely heavy.